missed it.
We will now call the redevelopment agency meeting to order, and if we could all rise for the pledge. I would have our redevelopment agency attorney, Graham Ritchie, lead us in the pledge, please.
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll have Councilmember Ruggieri lead us in the invocation.
Our Father in heaven, please guide us in making the right decisions tonight for the citizens of our city without too many arguments. Please help us work together in peace and harmony. Amen.
Amen. At this time, we'll have roll call.
Member Ruggieri,
Present.
Member Frida,
Present.
Member Cabrera,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Canada,
Here.
Chairperson Navejas.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, at this time we will have oral communications. This is time reserved for those in the audience wishing to speak on items on the agency agenda. Time limit, 3 minutes per speaker, total time allocated 15. Please give your name and address for the record. Okay, next item is oral communications, and this is reserved for the audience wishing to speak on items not on the agenda. Come forward, give your name and address for the record. Okay, item number 1, approval of minutes. What is the pleasure of the agency?
Motion to approve the minutes of the redevelopment agency meeting of September 22nd, 1992, and the joint special meeting October 2nd and 3rd, 1992, as presented.
Is the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This time, we will then go to item 2, which is resolution number 9234 of approval of warrants and payroll, which the Finance Committee reviewed. What is the pleasure of the Finance Committee?
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion and a second by the Finance Committee. Any further discussion? Not, all those in, roll call.
Member Ruggieri,
No.
Member Frida,
Aye.
Member Cabrera,
All right.
Vice Chairperson Canada,
Aye.
Chairperson Navejas.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll go to item number 3, resolution number 92-35, award of contract, architectural design, Jada Square. Mr. Olivas.
Yes, members of the agency, your staff has been working with the owners of Jada Square to determine the best type of rehabilitation for this location. All of you know that Jada Square is located on Norwalk and Carson on the northeast corner, and it was probably one of the first major centers in the city. Therefore, it is in need of rehabilitation. We have contacted 3 firms. We have received information from 3 firms who responded to an RFP to prepare material as it is highlighted in your report. 3 firms responded to our RFPs. The firm of Studio 5 Architects and Design in San Juan Capistrano has provided a cost estimate of $5,200 to do the requested work. We realize that in accordance with the commercial rehabilitation guidelines, the maximum allocation for this type of program is $2,500 unless otherwise approved by the agency on a case-by-case basis. Your staff finds that the $5,200 would be acceptable and based on the size of the scope of the project and that it does involve several parcels in the area, we recommend your approval.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the agency?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? There is none. Roll call vote, please. Lydia?
Member Ruggieri,
Aye.
Member Frida,
Aye.
Member Cabrera,
All right.
Vice Chairperson Canada,
Aye.
Chairperson Navejas.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4, marketing plan, redevelopment agency owned property. Mr. Olivas.
Yes, members of the agency, staff, we have been working on the idea of developing a marketing and promotion plan for the city as well as the redevelopment agency. We have received a proposal from the firm of Calderon, Bacon and Associates, who is a marketing and promotion firm. The proposal offers to provide activities to generate information material to citizens as well as those individuals who deal with the agency, developers, and operators and business owners in the city. In addition to that, we have prepared some of the items that have been mentioned by this agency as well as the council, either as a group or individually, as areas that need to be addressed in promoting the agency and the city. We have highlighted those in items 1 through 4 in your staff report. These tasks have been identified by staff. This evening, we hope to get an additional information from the agency members as other areas they would like to see addressed in order to provide a marketing and promotional approach to the redevelopment agency and the city as a whole. We have attached a copy of the correspondence or proposal by Calderon Bacon and Associates for your information. We are requesting this evening that you authorize us to move forward to negotiate with Calderon Bacon and Associates to have them provide us with specific costs for doing the work that has been highlighted in the staff report. And I believe Mr. Calderon is here this evening if you have any questions of him or of the qualifications of his firm.
It would appear that some portion of that would benefit the city and another portion
And it would
of the
be-
agency, and that you would have some allocation. of
That's
that
correct,
cost.
sir. Yes.
Okay. This time, is that all of your report, Mr.
Yes,
Oliva?
ma'am.
Okay, at this time, what is the pleasure of the agency?
I move that we go with the recommendation of the executive director.
Okay,
I second it.
motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, there is.
Okay, Mr. Ruggiero, did you want to ask any questions to Mr. Calderon?
No,
Okay.
I know, no, particularly. The questions I have is probably for Nelson Oliva. It seems to me, I haven't had much chance to talk to anybody about this except Nelson, and that was today, because yesterday National City Hall was closed. It came as a complete surprise to me. It wasn't too long ago, we cut out sending agendas to the people because we're trying to save money. Then we come back with a proposal to spend possibly $3,000 a month to send a newsletter out to people and conduct meetings that we have been doing on our own. Now, I don't see the need of spending this money, and if we're going to spend it, and if we think it's a worthy cause, and you'll have to convince me that it is, if you think it is, I would like to see other people's ideas besides this one outfit. I want to get bids from other people besides one consulting firm, and to see what they could do for us, because I think that's the fair way to do it.
Okay, any other discussion?
I also have a comment. The last item, item 3, we had 3 firms that submitted proposals. If we really need something like this, why can we get proposals from other organizations? Further, isn't Mr. Calderon the political consultant that has done campaigns for candidates in the city?
I believe he is, but Mr. Calderon is here, and he could probably answer it more.
I'll ask Mr. Calderon if you'd come forward and answer any of their questions or concerns.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Have you done any consulting for candidates of this council?
No, I've not. I've never been involved in on this existing council. I did help Lenny Wagner a few years ago, but have not been involved with any member of this council with regard to political.
Didn't you consult or give consultation to the Navejas and Ruggieri candidates when they were running for council?
No,
approximately?
I did not.
You did not give
No,
them?
I did not.
No.
You were never at one of their meetings?
Oh, no.
Never at our meetings.
I'm asking the man.
If you ever, well, you were a consultant for American West Fireworks, though, right?
That's correct. I handle their government relations for
In the
American West
recent
Marketing.
election, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Calderon, I know the questioning that is coming here. Why don't you tell them your background and who you do represent in the many cities that you've represented?
Well, how far do you want me to go back? I mean,
You're a marketing firm. Tell
well,
them.
yes, I've
They know about you, but they want to make it a political thing.
I've been involved in this area for quite a long time, working with cities, working with companies, basically in the area of communications. With regard to cities, I've offered government or public information services in the form of newsletters, press relations, news releases, press conference, handling issues resolution. And we've done work for the cities of Artesia, for Bell Gardens, Alhambra, Ranchos Palos Verdes, quite a few cities in the area. And with regards to, on the corporate side, we also handle the government relations for Coors Brewing Company, American West Marketing, as Councilman Rogeri pointed out. So we've got a lot of experience in communications and community relations, also with regard to issues and issues resolution. So we've been very involved throughout Los Angeles County as a company.
That one company, American, what was it?
American West Marketing, they are,
Is that the fireworks?
yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
You
welcome.
designed the folder with the 3 candidates that were running.
No.
You designed that folder
No, I
for
did not.
American West Marketing.
No, I did not.
You didn't do any designing of the mailing for them.
I did design a mailer for American West Marketing itself.
That's what I'm talking about. This particular folder I'm talking
No,
about.
it was a walk piece.
Pardon me?
It was a walk piece for the company.
I think you're trying to bring in that the election has something to do with this.
Yes.
And that's what you're
yes, I'm
alluding
trying-
to.
Well, I want to
Mr.
cover all
Calderon.
bases because Mr. Calderon might, I'm not saying anything against the man. I don't even know you, okay?
Okay,
I think you know
All I
him
know
quite
is
well.
that you work for American West Marketing,
right.
and I know you helped candidates in this city as a consultant, and I think that Kathy knows you very well, okay? And I don't think that we owe any favors to anybody,
Right.
and I want things to be out on a bid form to other people just like you. If you're the best man for the job, you should get the job, okay? But I think there should be other people to choose from besides your outfit.
Well, just for the record, because our services are so unique and there haven't been that many companies that have specialized in this area, I've been every contract that I've ever gotten in the city has been what you call a sole source contract for professional services. So it's, at least from my experience, it's not been necessarily a bid process. Although when we've been brought on board to say handle a newsletter, we have then turned around and gone for bids for the printing and any services, any ongoing ancillary services that the city may want. For example, in the staff report, they mentioned the production of a video. Well, I'd work with a production firm and get bids and those kinds of things. So it's been my experience. It hasn't been a bid process, but when you're dealing with professional services, oftentimes cities do not go that route. Obviously, it's your choice to do that or not to do that. That's been my experience, and as I said, there haven't been a lot of companies that do exactly what we do.
No, it's really not your fault. I'm not questioning your ability that you can perform a newsletter or a video. The question I have is, do we really need it?
Well, that's
Okay, that's the real
certainly that's the question you have to
Secondly,
answer.
the city's been doing a newsletter and been doing community meetings. Now, all of a sudden, the staff doesn't have time to do it. And probably the reason the staff has nothing to do with you, has not time to do it, because we just formed a new commission that's going to take a lot of staff time that we don't need also. So the question is our priorities.
Yeah.
If we can't mail out agendas to people to save money, a couple $100 a month, then how can we afford $3,000 a month for this kind of consultation? That's all I have to say.
Certainly a question that
But
this
nothing
council will have to
against
answer.
you,
All right,
understand
thank you.
that, please.
Okay.
I do have one more question.
Yes, sir.
We had a seminar in Palm Springs, I think April,
May.
in May? Mm-hmm. Did you meet with Ms. Navejas then?
I've talked with her, yes.
You had
I'm
a
very
meeting.
active in many city organizations, and I've met the mayor.
She mentioned to me that she was on her way
Yes.
to meet with you.
That is-
Was that meeting about this?
I don't remember is it this and the other issues. I mean, she did ask me to give her some ideas of what they could do for the city, but it was not, it wasn't formalized at that point. It's been a process of meeting with staff and talking with many members of the staff to sort of come up with the kinds of issues that they wanted to address. So, it was the beginning of a conversation, but certainly I've had many more conversations with staff.
Okay, she did tell me that she was going to meet with you, but I never was told what the meeting was about. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Again, I'd like to say that, no, I'm through.
Am I done?
Calderon, thank you very
I
much.
have some questions before he steps down. Just a minute.
I would like us, if we're going to do something like this, to go out for bid. Like Mr. Gary says, I'm sure, and I'm sure Mr. Calderon He's very qualified, but to be fair to the public and everybody else, we should go for bids. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Under the discussion here, of course, I don't think the question of Mr. Calderon's qualifications are being questioned here. I think it's the qualifications of Ms. Navejas, as usual, on every item. I've had the opportunity to discuss this with staff, as well as see the agenda item here. I think this city is in dire need of more public relations and marketing programs to promote our community, promote ourselves, and promote the betterment of our city. I think what the city needs to do is find experts in this field by publishing a newsletter directly to the public that will not only give information concerning our agenda items, will also give information concerning the community services being involved and providing services as far as what the city is prepared to do in the future. I think we're lacking a lot of information being desired by the public by not promoting a newsletter. That had been cut back in budget constraints, and I think deleting the agenda is a benefit by giving them a newsletter. Also, my understanding is that the agenda is being put on cable TV before every meeting. Is that my understanding? So that everybody who has cable can look that up, not just 200 people who got on a list. Instead of all the residents of the city getting the information, you were only putting out about 200 a month, and a lot of them were coming back on a regular basis. A lot of them were going to people outside the area. Secondly, we are in dire need of having a merchants association. We have nothing in the city that provides the business people with leadership as to support in the area of business development. We are, as the city, have to market the redevelopment agency to provide business, some leadership, and provide them the information necessary to be successful. This little city is a city on the move, in my opinion. If we do the things correctly, we not only can change the community's image, but we also can bring tax dollars to the citizens. With our redevelopment projects, that's a necessity. I don't have any portfolios available to give developers here with demographics that are properly up to date, that give history, that give information concerning the makeup of your community or goals or objectives. If one of you gentlemen can pull something out and show me current status of this information, then I'll say you have a legitimate argument here. We had a videotape promoted by the city council many years ago, which is old, wasn't even used. It was $20,000 to have that videotape made. And it was done by one of the staff at that time. And they put themselves in there, and none of those people work here anymore. So we have nothing to promote the city. If we are going to be a city oriented with doing future projects, with marketing ourselves, and with promoting our community, this is where we begin. Furthermore, this council members here that are talking about bidding process should look into services provided by their family that was never put out to bid, that was rendered by the taxpayers, that went directly to family members here, and there was no bidding process, which was a lot more money and never provided any service that was directly to the community. So these allegations are non-founded, are continual slander on behalf of certain members of this city. So at this time, if there is any other questions of Mr. Calderon, the only thing I can say is that I'm very proud that would be a firm like you who understands the political background of the city, as well as the marketing background, because that'll make the difference in somebody being able to provide the citizens something substantial and beneficial to their needs. So if there's any other questions.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to just respond to something of what you said. As far as the only expert or an expert, I don't believe Mr. Calderon is the only expert. I believe there's others in the same field. He's not the only one that we have to choose from, or that we should have to choose from. Further, you mentioned about an organization, organized business association. We have had a good chamber of commerce, and it's been a long time since anybody in the city has tried to get involved with the chamber. Nobody's ever invited the chamber to participate in anything. As a matter of fact, this council has distanced itself from the local chamber.
Well, the purpose of the chamber is to provide business services to the business community. The Chamber of Commerce, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, it's a political organization made up of businesses from outside the city.
Well, we're a political organization too.
That's right.
But under item two, if you read it, it says organize a business association and provide merchants support activities to promote business in the city. And that's exactly what the chamber is. The chamber is through the United States.
Well, but that's fine. The United States Chamber of Commerce is fine. Do you know that the City of Hawaiian Gardens paid chamber dues, never received a newsletter, never got invited to any of the functions, never was invited to grand openings? Well, obviously, if the city is providing them services to be funded, don't you think it's
Well, I
only
think maybe
realistic
we got to
that...
give them a chance and get involved with the chamber like we were before. They did a lot of good in the city. The chamber was run by pioneers of this community before you were born.
Well, I'm glad I'm the youngest one up here.
I've been to several chamber.
I was talking about Dominic.
Chamber meetings, and I find that the business people that belong to the Chamber of Commerce are real reputable business people. Because if we don't like Maggie Vineyard for a reason, that doesn't mean the whole chamber isn't any good, you know.
Well, I'm sure that with the...
And that's what's
thing.
happening. You're condemning the whole chamber for one person.
Well, I think that what we
And I'm
have
sure
here
the
is an
council gets condemned
opportunity...
for one person also.
Yes, we do,
That's right.
especially by one that's speaking right now. Anyway, we have an opportunity here to do some very positive things and organize a business association, which is really a benefit to serve the needs of the community.
I want to know more about it. This is nothing we've got to know more about it. We can spend all night on this subject.
Thank you.
What we're trying to accomplish. I want to see it in writing, what we're going to accomplish, how much it's going to cost us to the penny, how much it's going to cost to get a video made, how much it's going to cost to do a newsletter every month, besides the printing and the consulting time
Now,
and everything else.
3,000 is only the retainer.
And that's only a retainer, $3,000 a month. I could see big dollars in this, and I don't know if it's necessary. We've run our town meetings pretty good on our own, and we've run our newsletters pretty good. I think Maria Lloyd did a hell of a good job in the newsletters we send out. I don't see how it could be done any better. I don't see how it can be done any better. So I just disagree all the way. But you guys vote for it because you have your 3 votes.
Okay.
Furthermore,
if the-
I've never talked to anybody about this.
Neither have I.
Nobody has talked to me about this. When I got the agenda, this is the first time I've seen it.
Don't you have a telephone? Can't you call
No.
staff if you want to know anything about it?
I got this Friday evening, and there was nobody here Monday.
Because I went over
And I
my
came over
agenda with
today.
staff today.
I came over today.
Yeah, but it was your
talking to Mr.
idea, Kathy.
Well,
You knew all about
Don't you
it.
people have ideas?
You knew all about
Did you
it.
ever have an idea and put it
No,
on
what
the
gets,
agenda?
you know what gets a couple of council people upset here, Kathy, is that you have meetings once a week, have meetings with Dean Dana, good example, the county supervisor and the staff,
That doesn't
with Nelson. We don't know what happened. They have meetings with the school board. We're not privileged to know what happened. I think every time you guys have a meeting with some of importance, and I'm blaming you too, Nelson, we should get a memo on it, exactly what was discussed. We're part of this council too. It's
Okay.
not run by 3 people.
Wait, just one
But it
second.
is.
If I may respond.
I don't want to long. Please don't respond.
If I may
Write me a letter.
respond.
We
If
don't
I
want to
may
be here all
respond.
night listening to you on your
It's only,
soapbox.
these council members have meetings with all different people as well. And
I
they
don't.
Yes, you do.
You
I
can
get-
talk
I
for
hear
yourself,
all
my
kinds of
dear.
people.
I do
This
not
is
have
not a
meet-
discussion about
I resent that.
who you
I do
meet
not
with.
have meetings with other people.
You certainly do, both of you do. At this
That is a
time, we're
lie.
off the subject, and what we're gonna do, Mr.,
Please don't believe it.
At
It's a
this-
lie.
this is not a lie. I could give
I
you
do not
about
have
20
meetings with
meetings.
people without you knowing about it.
Real quick,
Pardon me?
May I make a,
Without you knowing about it.
may I
Pardon
make a
me?
suggestion, please, real
Yeah.
quickly? And due respect to you gentlemen, I hear what you're saying, but you guys get letters from Dean and all of them. You're all
Everybody.
invited to this people, and you didn't come, so you shouldn't make it look like you.
No, I didn't know he was
They don't
coming to
wanna
City Hall.
participate.
No,
I'm
no.
talking about it here at City Hall.
This was
not
brought
talking
up
about
at
it
a
in this
council
place.
meeting to have a meeting. I said it right here at the last council meeting.
I said we're supposed to know what was discussed.
We discussed exactly what we discussed in public.
I
The-
don't see it in writing
Wait a
anywhere.
minute, let me finish, Dominic. I said we will be meeting with the JIBS program, with local elected officials, with Mr. Dana's office, with Mr. Eppel's office, with many people's office. We have met with many offices. I give a staff under councils, I give a report every meeting about what we have been doing with the juvenile probation program. I have invited you to sit on committees with myself. Mr. Cabrera has been invited to committee meetings. You don't show up to the committee meetings. I'm not going to babysit you or anybody.
What is she talking
Many
about?
committee meetings and you don't appear
What's
at.
she talking about?
You don't
Call
appear
the
to your
question.
meetings. Many committee meetings that you're on, you don't even show up to. This time then, I'm not going to continue this discussion, we will go ahead and call for the question. Roll call vote,
The
please, Lydia.
question is apparently to authorize staff to determine the projects and the costs of those projects and bring them back to the council. You're not employing anyone, you're not signing any contracts, is that correct?
Okay, this time then, roll call.
Member Ujiri,
No.
Member Prida,
Yes.
Member Cabrera,
I'm voting no, only because we didn't get bids from other consultants. No.
Vice Chairperson Canada,
Yes.
Chairperson Navejas.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, at this time then, we will have this come to us at the next agency agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Olivas?
That's correct.
For final approval. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Calderon, for coming this evening. Okay, at this time, we'll go to item 5, which is status report on housing development, 1231T, 224th Street, MK Development. Mr. Olivas.
Yes, members of the council, I have provided a staff report to you which highlights some of the activities that have dealt with this development at 12312 224th Street. The developer, Malcolm Cow of MK Development, did submit a proposal. His proposal was accepted by the agency. He was given an exclusive right to negotiate. And on March of this year, a disposition and development agreement was approved by the agency and the developer. Mr. Cow submitted plans, was given permits, and moved forth on the construction of a duplex on an R2 zone property, a 50 by 100 parcel. His plans indicated construction of 2 standalone single-family homes. Based on the duplex standards, he was permitted to provide 1 enclosed and 1 open parking space per unit. In June of '92, agency staff consulted with city staff on the issue of the developer selling each unit to a separate owner. Planning staff provided the agency with options which he could review to try to sell each individual unit to separate owners. The first one was to divide the existing lot into 2 lots with a dwelling on each lot. This option was not considered realistic because it would further create substandard lots in the city while requiring several variances to meet single-family unit standards as opposed to the duplex development standards. Number 2 was that the development could be approached as a condominium or townhome development. If so, the dwelling would then be sold to separate owners, and these owners would then jointly maintain the common areas through CCNRs. However, staff did caution the agency that the process needed and the development standards for condominium townhomes as opposed to the duplex development were quite different. Recently, the developer and his project engineer requested an application for condominium development, and this application was submitted last week. At that time, construction of the housing unit had already started, following standards for a duplex. On October 6th, the developer met with staff to address the issue of duplex versus condominium standards. The developer also submitted the application for condominium, and he indicated that to date he has spent nearly $35,000 in what has been done on the actual site. Furthermore, the developer is very much in support of providing owner-occupied, individually owned housing in the city, which was the intent of the agency originally. He also comprehends the major differences in development standards between condominium and duplex units, and they include that condominiums must have a 2-car garage for each unit, as opposed to a 1-car garage for duplexes. Guest parking for condominiums for this type of development would require 1 open guest parking space. In addition, the condominiums require a motorhome parking space and other requirements dealing with actual documentation, recordation of plans, parcels, plans. It would require some additional language and CCNRs to be submitted for review by the county. What the agency needs to know is that if the developer continues with the ongoing development of duplex units, he will not be able to sell each unit to separate owners. One owner can buy the entire development and rent one, or even both units, if you choose to do so. If the developer continues the application process for condominiums or townhomes, he will be able to eventually sell the units to separate owners who would agree to maintain the common areas through CCNRs. However, the issue of variances on a new construction will be reviewed by the Planning Commission and the City Council, with final approval considered by the City Council. The developer has indicated that he wants to follow up on his original intention of his proposal, which was to provide individually owned housing units. Mr. Cow is in the audience this evening and would like an opportunity to address the agency. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Okay. Ms. Olivas? I'll open it up for council, but I have some questions. Any questions from council? Agency members?
Malcolm.
You have one for Malcolm?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he should be allowed to come up.
Okay, I have some questions for staff first. Any other questions to staff? Okay, Mr. Olivas? After reviewing this and going over this with the agenda today with you, one of the concerns I had was if there's no guarantee, even if you make it a condominium project and have separate owners, that you can guarantee home ownership on that. Is that correct?
There will be home ownership. What we
But I
can't
mean-
guarantee is that it'll be owner
Owner
occupied.
occupied?
That's correct.
Okay. So in a duplex situation, we may be in a better situation where we have a one owner who is responsible for both parcels and continues under the way the bidding process was put out. Is that correct? That's the way it was bidded, that's the way he submitted it?
Idealistically, you would have one owner who has two houses on one lot and hopefully will occupy one and rent the other. Or again, they could rent both.
What if Mr. Malcolm decides that he wants to be the landlord? Isn't that
If
possible?
he wants to be, if he wants to retain ownership and rent both units, that's
can do that
that's an
too.
option that he can exercise.
It's the same thing, really.
Okay.
The lot is how big again?
50 by 100. It's an R2 zone lot.
That's your
Okay,
Quonset hut
and what's the
special.
objection? I remember which one it is. It's deep enough anyhow. So what's the objection of having two homes on there again? I forgot that objection. It's not big enough?
There is no objection to having two units on the parcel.
With no
The issue comes up of selling both housing units to individual owners,
Separate owners.
to separate
You
owners.
cannot separate and make two lots out of it.
Not on this particular lot. You
Is
would
it
have,
smaller?
it's a 50 by 100.
If he was in a
You're talking-
corner, it'd be a different story.
Yes, you gotta
And
address
what's
it.
the- And then what if it's just right for a nice big house, isn't it?
That's
What's
correct.
the objection to having one big house on it that sells for more money, or when it's selling that area?
The objection would be from the developer who has already put forms in the ground and spent almost $35,000 in that process.
No.
Could be a
And how-
financial.
Is it set up now with a common wall?
No, they're separate units. It's duplexes that are separate. They're unlike what you picture as a duplex, as one long dwelling with two doors or two sets of doors, whichever way you want to look at it. These are two separate standalone units with one enclosed garage and one,
Open space.
open space per
Yeah.
house.
It was our mistake originally. We should have had it for one house, and then we wouldn't be going through this right now.
Well, my understanding,
Yeah.
if I may answer,
Yeah.
my understanding that was staff's recommendation. The proposal was given to us in that manner and was put out to bid in that manner, and I don't think this man should be held up
No,
anymore.
he's not responsible for it. Malcolm's not.
At this time, then, if there's no other questions, then, it's just agency policy. I think that what we need is probably a motion to give direction to staff on how to go forward.
Or you might want to ask Mr. Cow what he might want to.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted to ask.
Might
What
wanna
he
do.
wants to do.
Okay,
Is he
Mr.
here?
Cal, would you
Yeah,
come
he's here, I
forward,
believe.
please?
Honorable Radio M agency persons, thank you for finally give me a chance to talk, even 3 minutes. As the staff report is very, very detailed state about the project. And I'm sitting on the other side of the counter. Based on the first day, I got this the request for development proposal from the redevelopment agency. They very clearly describe they need two single-family houses, and I remember they asking to detached. So we, based on the requirement, step by step, submit this project. Now, from my personal viewpoint, is I think that time the city tried to push the R2 property into owner-occupied, try to reduce down or minimize the rental. That's the intent, all the intent. I think all the city staff try to reach this goal. Okay, we create these two houses. We don't increase any density. It's R2. The duplex is two units, two rental. This density-wise, environmental impact-wise is the same. Now we're talking about one concept, owner occupied. That I know the advantage. You all know why we need it. This is what I understand the goal the city are going to reach in next 20 years or longer. Now, based on that goal, we push this project. Based on this all the requirement we gave, we apply and design. And now in June, we have my civil engineer sitting in the audience, Hugo. He come into the city to asking for the 2 single-family house. The city staff say no, this is too small. But if you go to parcel map, then legally it's okay. Then we submit it, and before we submit, we check it, then we submit it. And then we find out from your staff say, oh, this falling into condominium requirement. Then you need a 2-car garage, another off-field parking space. Then this variance issue come out. Now, but it's workable for you tonight. You have to make a decision that look like to me, it's like a milestone for the city. And do you want R2 in the future to be owner occupied? And yeah, of course, possible the two houses can be rent out. Yes, but the same thing. But the chance to own by the owner, the chance is much bigger than the duplex. Eventually, like you say, you buy 2, you own 1, you rent 1. Then a few years later, the owner probably move out, then rent this one out, then become rental again. But these 2 condominiums, if they can sell separately, the chance is much bigger. Why? Market price. And we have another one across the street, the corner of 224 and the Berkshire. They have one listing about 6 months by the Baylor Realty. And I went to check, asking for the Alex and Roger, the father and son's realty office. They listing for $139,000 for 6 months. They cannot sell. This is pull out the market. That house is about 1,100 square feet, which we are talking about affordable housing. If we can sell by separately, then we can go down probably $130,000. We can sell each units. Then will be much more affordable for the people. This is all the intent. And because it's separate, then the house, the value, the quality, brand new, it will be much better. Then also, if you approve tonight, then that means one thing to all the Hawaii Garden R2 property owners, means you encourage them to improve the lot as long as that they can reach to the city standard. They can go through the parcel map. In the future, they can sell or own by the two owners. That way, doesn't cost city anything, doesn't cost city in the future infrastructure, density was any burden, nothing. But you will increase the quality of our 2 properties. And I from the day one I came here, I've been encouraged by every single document you present to the community. I go by that step by step. To the last moment now, if I may, really encourage you, keep this goal in your mind. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to say something? No.
Any questions?
Malcolm, you want it to be like a condo, right? 2 homes with single ownership.
Yes.
On the same lot.
Yeah.
But did you say that? Is that okay or not? I still don't understand.
No, if I may.
Explain that.
And to members of the agency.
The rules on that.
He would like to be able to sell each dwelling separately.
Yeah,
with
that's
different
what I
owners.
said. That's
Yeah,
2 owners, right?
That is a townhome or condominium type of approach.
Okay, and what's the problem with that?
He has a duplex.
In the plan.
2 houses on one lot where he would sell the entire parcel with 2 dwellings, and then the owner would own everything and he could rent both or live in one and rent the other.
But he could change it.
No, you can't.
Are they is your plans have them attached or detached?
No, they're detached.
They're detached. So
Yeah.
what?
You can't sell one lot to 2 owners unless
Well, that's
there's
what I
joint
asked.
ownership.
Yeah.
He's
But
got to subdivide the
But
lot.
if it's a condominium
We-
project with 2 homes on it, they're
Yeah.
both individually owned homes, right?
That's correct.
Right.
But who owns the land?
Both parties. It's a joint the covenants, conditions, and
And
restrictions.
then
They
when one
maintain
guy
the
gets
land.
mad at the other guy, he don't take care of his part, and the other guy don't take care
Well,
of his.
those are the conditions and, that are in
Yeah.
document that's part of the ownership. They will pay a fair, if it gets a 50-50 share of maintaining those common areas.
Yeah, in order to sell, can separate owner occupy, we have to go through the parcel map, which we submit to the city and process this parcel map in order to can sell separately. Right now, the existing R2, we cannot sell separately.
Then we're back to 50 by 50-foot lots,
No, that's true,
25 by
but
50.
we made a mistake on this one. We
25
didn't make
by
the mistake.
No, we made no mistake
You're
because
right, 50
Yeah,
by
we made a
50,
mistake.
50
We
by
should have built one home on it. That's what we should have done.
It's 100 by
But I
100.
remember the argument
well,
that night.
If I may,
Was here.
if I may,
Yes.
let me say one thing. If you intend, say, in the future, the R2 lot build a beautiful house, big houses, then the message give out, that means Hawaii Garden, you are down zone. That is very dangerous today. I just encourage you not to think that way. R2 is R2.
To build one house?
Yeah, if you only allowed to build one, that means you.
Well, if it's a-
in
if
fact, you're down zone. That's very dangerous.
No,
Bell
you're
Garden
not
has
down
down
zoning
zone.
it. You're not down zoning
Okay, what's
it.
happening?
But if the builder builds only one house, he's doing the down zoning,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
right.
You own the lot, we don't own it.
But that this kind of a development owned by the two units is getting popular and like a POD concept.
Okay.
And also all the condominium requirement right now, city setup, I would say 99% is for the R3 lot. That means they have one guest parking for RV, a bigger guest parking space. But this is R2. So this reason I just report to you. This is for you. It's a new. It's a new. But it's not new. You have all this in your mind. You are only occupy. But for the parcel map application,
long
you have to approve.
How long does that take?
Yeah, if you approve that, then your goal will be reached.
3 or
That's
4
all I can
months?
say.
Well, can he be building in the meantime?
He's already built.
Oh, well, then we don't, the
He's
3 or
already
4
started.
months isn't gonna make any difference. In my opinion, we ought to get the parcel map and make them 2 owner occupied housing.
And eventually, this kind of a parcel map, in reality, is very, very simple. It's not R3, so only 2. The trouble, the argument will be very little. Before he buy it, he understand that if I buy the front, I understand I have a 10-foot driveway easement, let the backside to use it. It's been very popular in a lot of cities and as a POD.
I'm for it.
You bid the original and your concept was for a duplex, correct?
Yes, detached. Duplex,
Detached.
duplex is a legal term, but they can attach, they can detach.
I understand.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Okay, I think, Malcolm, I understand what you're trying to do. The problem is that this will have to go through variances, this will have to go through all types of things to get the condominium project approved. I don't want the public to have the idea that we're going to be continuing condominium development as well. Even though they're 2 detached homes, I think what we're trying to get away from is the condominium mentality of the city. Once we put that in precedence, we're going to be having a lot of people coming up with the same concept to start condominium developments and putting 2 condominiums on pieces of properties. Our whole enhancement of the city is basically to try to bring single home ownership, single family homeowners, and to provide the city with, the capabilities of having low to moderate income homeowners. In the middle of the game, here we bidded it out as a duplex. We have this whole progress. Now we're in the middle of this thing and we're changing it. And I don't know what else we can do except we need to get the project going forward. It's going to be very time consuming to go through the process. From my understanding, we have to go through variances, through public hearings, to advertise it, everything.
If you go back to the minutes of the meeting, when we asked for a duplex, we still meant single owners for each home. Work it out. If you remember that, we wanted a duplex, but we wanted 2 owners, because Lenny stood here and argued about it. I remember it.
I don't
I
remember.
gave up. But they wanted a duplex, but they wanted 2 owners, and it was impossible to do it. We knew all this. If you look at the minutes, you'll find all that to be true.
I don't remember.
I
the
think we should
discussion.
make it 2 single-family homes, whatever it takes to do it. It's already done. It's better than having 2 rentals. It's just
Wait a
gonna be
minute.
Even
built
if you had
anyhow.
two single-family homes, it could still be two
How about if
rentals.
two people buy it and they just turn around and rent it out?
Well,
How
that's
can
okay.
you guarantee
At least it
ownership?
starts off as an owner-occupied house.
But you can have one owner that has both coverage of both properties. You're gonna have two separate owners. You're gonna have all kinds of bickering and fighting on one
Well, I
lot with
realize
two
that too,
owners.
yeah.
And how can you guarantee home ownership? Most people will come in, buy it as investment, and just make it as rental property. That's
I want
gonna
the
be
thing-
out what it turns out
Let's get
to
the
be.
thing built. I don't care how it's built or
Well,
who owns
there's no guarantee either way we go.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that we can guarantee home ownership,
Well, let's
property
give him
ownership.
permission to do it any way he wants and get it done.
You do that.
If I may, members of the agency, one of the things that needs to be clear in the agency's mind is that you are setting a precedent
That's,
on R2 lots, where an owner of an R2 lot can then come in, request that his lot in the future be addressed as a condominium or a townhome type of development.
Yeah.
He can take his 50 by 100-foot lot, divide it in two, sell both units, and then have CCNRs for the new owners. Or in the worst case
realtors should be all
scenario,
over this.
you have an owner who has his existing home in the rear area of the property. He figures that it's 50 by 50, so he's okay, and in the front 50 by 50, he will build a new unit. He will do a condominium type of a format as far as the parcel, and then he'll be able to sell the front unit and have the new owner share in the cost of maintaining his
It's too late on
property.
this one. It won't make any difference which way you do it.
Dominic, if I may,
You're still
if
setting
I may,
precedent.
if I may
Even if they're
address,
rentals.
no, they're duplexes, there's
If
lots.
the duplex, one owner owns both units, and he can live in one and sell the other one, or rent
Well, the
both.
guy that has an R2 lot's gonna put up a duplex.
My concern, if
can
I
do
may,
that
Yeah, he can.
he can do
Okay.
that now. My
So
concern.
you're not setting any precedent.
My concern, if I may address, I think what staff's report here, it would have been better. I think staff's report is, and that is my concern, this can set precedents for the future. I think that it's an opportunity for realtors to come in, buy, develop, and subdivide all kinds of lots, and start what they call mini condominium associations. That is not the goal of myself as a council member to see the city
Or
developed.
anybody else in the council.
So I think that to keep us safe for the future, and with all due respect to Malcolm, I think that duplex development like we originally constituted would probably be very beneficial to the developer as well to the community, and not to put us in a position where we may have some liability in the future. I think the best thing to do is continue as to the terms of the prior agreement, and I think that's to protect the city
And
for
that's a
any
duplex.
future development.
Duplex,
The
one owner.
duplex, as one owner occupied. And if joint, I mean, you can have joint tenants on a piece of property. You can sell it to two property owners.
Well, some
They're
of them
just
might-
joint tenants.
Some parents want to buy one and let their kids move in the next one.
I'm confused. In the DDA, wants a two single-family house and owner occupy. How I can reach these things?
Only thing I can say is that I think the way that you need to do it is staff, the attorney, however you can handle it. I think the thing, we do not want to get into a condominium situation, Malcolm. That is my concern. I think when we start using those words, we open ourselves up to a lot of scrutiny by other people doing the same thing. That is not the goal of the agency, if I understand everybody correctly.
Yeah.
I think that at this point, what we need to do is continue under the same format. If they can come up with a solution to allow you to sell it as two owner occupied, I think that's something the attorneys and staff needs to recommend, which keeps us completely legal. But I don't understand why you can't sell it with two joint owners. He owns A and he owns B, and they have joint ownership. I don't know. I don't know the legalities. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not an attorney. But I think that you have one lot with joint ownership. One owns parcel A, one owns parcel B. I don't know.
Yeah, today I think I'm confused by one term, the condo.
The condo-
Everybody, yeah, too
Condominium is a
sensitive.
problem. It's the sensitivity
Yeah,
here.
but all the city, in this city, the condo, the experience you have is R3 lot. And they have a big multi-units, I would say that. But this duplex in Hermosa Beach, in Rosemead, they subdivided, especially in the corner, they subdivided the design, even they attached, they design away from the both sides, look like it's a single family house. You go in with a common wall, oh, beautiful. And they don't have any problem to any city, as I recall.
Well, the only thing I...
R2 is really different from R3.
Right, and I understand that. I think
Everything.
all we can do is continue with the same recommendation, and if staff, yourself, and the agency attorney can come up with some alternative way of just dealing with the marketing plan that you're trying to promote, I don't have any problem with that. I just personally, and I think the citizens of Hawaiian Gardens has really come out and made quite an event about condominium development. High-density development is the first thing people talk about. So I think that is the problem here. Maybe there's a way that staff, we can send it back to staff and to agency attorney to review it and come back with a recommendation.
Okay.
Okay?
Last word. The citizen, local citizen against, or you worry the R3, they will increase the density. That they worry. But this R2, no density increased.
Right.
Only is for owner occupied.
I understand.
There's quite this big difference there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. If I can ask this, I think that you have direction here from council. I think it's just agency policy.
Yes.
It's a question. You got permits,
Permit
didn't
to
he?
construct a duplex, 2 units on one lot, one owner.
Yeah.
Is that what he got his permits for?
Yeah.
That's
Well, then
correct.
we'll stick to that.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Okay,
We're
just-
changing in the
we'll just
midstream.
stick to that.
That's what I'm saying.
So anyway, we
Hard
stick
to
to
sell, that's a problem.
Okay.
Motion to continue with as is.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think that direction is for staff to look into alternatives and bring it back to us, but direction is to continue. And maybe the attorney can figure something out. I don't know. Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 6 is Garden Center Study Session. Mr. Olivas.
Yes, members of the agency, this issue has been discussed in previous meetings, as well as with staff, as to addressing what the overall or the final plan is for the Garden Center property, which is currently owned by the redevelopment agency. I have listed some of the issues that, from a staff point of view, we would like to have discussion on, to review the current tenants and their leases, to consider the contracted management and marketing, to consider the refinancing of the center to include a buyout loan if feasible, consideration of any physical improvements to the center, the signs, the fountain, et cetera, and consideration of course, finally selling the center. We are asking that you set up some kind of a study session that can just focus on this item alone and address any concerns that you may have as a member of this agency that would like to have addressed or discussed during that study session.
Okay. At this time, then, this was a recommendation by our attorney, but I think that we had some discussion about this before. I think all we need is a date and time. If you could check with everybody's schedules and finalize it. I'm not available except on Saturday mornings, early mornings, so until after
What's the matter
November
with Tuesday
16th.
nights?
I'm not available
You're not
until
available on Tuesday nights?
just 2 council meetings for the month. I'm taking a class and I'm not available till after November 16th. So it's a special study session. So if we could have it on a Saturday morning as a study session, I'm available at 9 a.m. any Saturday morning, hopefully.
How about Dominic and Luke, are you guys gonna be there?
Well, it depends what day it is, what Saturday it is. No, not necessarily available. I work all week and I don't feel like coming to study sessions on Saturday.
Well, I'll have,
Council, when I'm available every night of the week.
okay,
I work all day, if I can do it any night of the week, except, and I don't like working on Saturdays.
Mr. Ruggieri, we have worked around your schedule many times.
No, you have
It's been
never
3
worked around
meetings,
my
and we've
schedule.
had many meetings, and both council members have not showed up. We tried to do our
Many meetings again.
we tried
Here
to
we
do
go.
our team
Many
building
meetings.
around your schedule, and nobody
Many
appeared at the
meetings.
team building except the 3
Team
council
building, I
members.
wasn't coming regardless what day it was on, so let's get that straight.
Okay, well, at
didn't
this
miss it
time,
for
I will go
Saturday.
ahead and direct staff to please check with everybody's schedules.
I don't think it's
and
fair for
then
the
go
staff
ahead.
to come working on Saturdays either.
At this time, I will direct staff to look at everybody's schedules and then get a date that the majority can
Are
participate
you saying you
at.
go to school at nights?
Okay.
Kathy?
about
Is that what you're
morning?
saying?
At next,
Are you saying you go to school at nights? Tell me when you're going to school, Kathy.
I don't
So
have
we all
to give
know.
you my personal information.
Well, you say we have
I'm
to
not
work.
available.
We have to
I
work
go to-
around your schedule, don't we?
I am not available in the evenings till after November 16th, except for council
What
meetings.
date?
November 16th.
What's wrong with next Tuesday?
I'm going to go on.
October 20th. What are you talking about, November 16th?
I have already directed staff that we will go ahead and...
Wait a minute, why do we have to work around your schedule?
I
I'm
said
saying
for
again.
staff to call everybody and check with their schedules and put together a time, Mr. Ruggieri.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Calm
Are you
down.
available at night?
I said no.
You're not available at night. You're available in the daytime?
I
during
said
the
I'm
week?
available Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
That's the only day you're available?
That's the only day I'm
Well, I'm only
available.
available Tuesday night. How about you?
Okay, very good.
I mean, you know.
Any day during the week.
That's
I
right.
can make time
At
in
this-
the
I mean,
morning.
we can't have to build our schedule around you, Kathy.
Fine, thank you. At
Okay.
this time, if staff would please take a poll of everybody's schedules and come back with the decision with those council members that have the majority of time available. Thank you. This time, we'll go to item number 7. Do we need a vote on this?
You want to be
we haven't
sure
done
that you
anything.
have the meeting on
At
your
this
own without
time,
me
we will
being
go to
there, right,
item
Kathy?
7, which is agency-owned property disposition process. Mr. Olivas, if you go ahead, please.
Yes, members of the agency, as you know, the agency has acquired properties in an effort to carry out the redevelopment plan of the agency. This process has not just a recent process, but an ongoing process. We have some properties that belong to the redevelopment agency, which we feel from a staff point need to continue the process of redevelopment and disposing of these properties. We have provided you with a list of 3 properties which have been owned by the agency and are currently being used as a temporary relocation, and some of them have become long-term relocation. And we like to basically get your approval to move forward so that we can continue with the process of relocating the tenants, addressing environmental issues, and as well as demolition and hopefully selling of these properties.
I have a question on Britain. You have 2 addresses. Are those are the side-by-side next to that?
Just east of Norwood. Just east of the
Right,
Norwood.
they're 226.
That's correct.
Well, those you can sell.
No, the
There are.
idea would be to relocate the tenants and demolish the units.
We're going to demolish them.
That's for development.
This is just a,
Are we getting ready for development there?
Yeah, well, that's part of the process, to actually clearing the site completely,
RFP.
addressing the easements, alleyways, and all those, and we've been doing that, and now we're to the point of having to.
I was just going to suggest, if we're not ready for development, why displace those persons at this time?
There is also another concern that has been brought by our risk management, by insurance, JPIA, the issue that you are assuming a liability exposure for basically operating a rental program. When you have tenants in there, if anything happens to the structure, then we are assuming liability for that purpose. It's not news. It's happened to other cities. And some of the dwellings also, tenants have come forth and are requesting major improvements, replacement of carpeting, replacement of roofing, and those kinds of areas. And those costs are adding up. And I think that if the property is to be demolished eventually, when you address those costs of $1,200 here, $700 here, you can apply that to a relocation and eventually end up with the outcome, which is to have a parcel that can be developed overall.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, at this time then, what is the pleasure of the agency?
Move to approve item 7.
second it.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? I would just like to state that I think that since we're going to go ahead and demolish the properties, that we should immediately go for RFP and start advertising and seeing what kind of interest there is out there. I think the direction you need is what type of development, if you just want to open it up and see what interest there is out there. Now, one of the concerns is that we discussed the public safety center, and I think something to deal with public safety should be worked in with a commercialized type of multi-use development. So maybe that may be something you want to put on the next agenda for staff, council recommendation.
Yeah, maybe we can do something like Paramount's got. They have a strip mall.
Mr. O'Shea, did you have a comment?
I was going to say, if the city is going to award the bid, I don't know that bid bonds have been filed when what the bidding process was. I don't think there were bid bonds. I don't think the public contract law has been met in any instance. It sounds like the insurance company went out and got some proposals, and I'm not saying they're not good proposals, but it certainly doesn't meet the test for public contract bidding. So it's going to be my recommendation that this be kicked over, and it's either going to have to be put out to bid properly, or the insurance company will have to administer